In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a village in Galilee, to a virgin named Mary. She was engaged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of King David. And Gabriel appeared to her and said, "Greetings, favored woman, the Lord is with you." That's how it gets started. And the angel in this scene is called Gabriel. Now, there are angels all over Scripture, and we'll talk a little bit about them, especially if you have questions in the Q&A. I'm going to go briefly through how Gabriel appears in Scripture and how he would have, how the people who first heard Luke's story of the Christmas, how those people would have imagined Gabriel based on what they might have known about him before, right? So Gabriel's introduced in this passage, and he comes a little farther, he comes a little earlier when Zechariah, who is John the Baptist's daddy, is in the sanctuary. He's a priest. He's serving in the temple. And while Zechariah was in the temple, an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing to the right of the incense altar. Then the angel said, and I'm skipping some verses, then the angel said, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the very presence of God. It was he who sent me to bring you this good news. But now, since you didn't believe what I said," and I didn't include the whole passage because we don't have time, but some of you will remember that Gabriel asks, "How am I going to know that I'm actually going to have a kid? Because frankly, we've had a hard time having a kid. How am I going to know this? What sign can I have?" And the angel gets a little frustrated with that and says, "Since you didn't believe what I said, I am God's messenger. Since you didn't believe it, you'll be silent and unable to speak until the child is born. For my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time." This is Gabriel's first appearance in the New Testament. Right? It happens just before Gabriel appears to Mary. So Gabriel comes in kind of as an MC and mover of the action in Luke 1. But who would have known anything about him and why when they first heard Luke read out is a good question. And it takes us to the book of Daniel. This is in the visions of Daniel in chapters 8 and 9. You'll remember that in Daniel, we have one like a son of man who comes in chapter 7. There are a series of visions that anticipate what is to come in the book of Daniel. Chapters 8 and 9 have one each. And here I'll just quickly get through where we see Gabriel. "As I, Daniel, was trying to understand the meaning of this vision," and it's what came just before where I've excerpted here, "someone who looked like a man stood in front of me. And I heard a human voice calling out from the Ulai River, 'Gabriel, tell this man, Daniel, the meaning of his vision.' And as Gabriel approached the place where I was standing, I became so terrified that I fell with my face to the ground. 'Son of man,' he said, 'you must understand that the events you've seen in your vision relate to the time of the end.' While he was speaking, I fainted and lay there with my face to the ground." This is from chapter 9. But Gabriel roused me with a touch and helped me to my feet. And then he said, "I am here to tell you what will happen later in the time of wrath. What you have seen pertains to the very end of time." And then again, as I was praying, Gabriel, whom I'd seen in the earlier vision, came swiftly to me at the time of the evening sacrifice. He explained to me, "Daniel, I've come here to give you insight and understanding." So Gabriel ends up in Daniel a sort of interpreter and informant of what God has in store and how that's being communicated in these visions. So it's sort of a translator in a way, a divine messenger, but also a translator relative to Daniel's visions. And he shows up that way here in Daniel. In the first part of Luke, he shows up as the one who tells Zechariah what's coming. And then, of course, in our passage, the one who tells Mary what's coming. And